welcome to my channel, Roxy Nicole TV.
See money all around me. I look like I'm the man. Yeah, but I was down and out like last week. Tell me, where have you been? Yeah, came out of hiding, girl. Don't act like I'm your man.
Guys, so today we're talking about triggers, and I'm about to do my hair. No, I'm not going anywhere. Y'all already know I work from home, so I'm just about to get ready to start my day. So I'm just about to do my hair real quick and talk to y'all. I'm spraying it with some water because, as y'all already know, I am natural. Just saturate it to moisturize it so it'll be easier to comb through. But anyways, I was telling you guys that we will be having random therapy session talks. And so today's conversation is going to be about triggers. And if you don't know what triggers are, I will put it somewhere on the screen. So why are triggers important? Triggers are important because it sets the tone for, number one, how to treat you. Two, it sets the stage for your boundaries. And three, it's a great conversation piece for any relationship, no matter whatever stage you are in your relationship. And basically, right now I'm just combing the tangles out of my hair. Y'all, I am 100% natural, but in the winter, I pressed my hair for about 3 months. And baby, from October to February, more than 3 months. October, 4 months. And you can't tell a curl or a kink anywhere other than my damn edges. But anyway, triggers. So, as I stated, triggers are important in any stage of a relationship to let your partner know. So, basically, in our couples therapy, what I've realized is that, again, what I talked about in my last video is healthy relationship habits. Something that my wife was so used to doing in all of her other relationships was a trigger for me. And basically that was talking to respond. One of my love languages is words of affirmations. And if I am talking and your next comment out of your mouth is about yourself, that is a trigger for me. I will shut down. I will either shut down and just clam up, or I will get so frustrated and just go to cursing, to be completely honest and transparent. Just to be honest and transparent. And one of her triggers was not being heard. So in our therapy session, and we were talking about one of our bigger fights, our therapist said, so y'all are just triggering each other. There's no person with reason when we first started going to therapy. And we really had to sit down and write out our triggers. One, what I discovered is pretty much triggers let my wife know that I'm not okay in the moment. Once she knew what my triggers were, once she has crossed the boundary that made me feel unsafe, because really triggers put you in a defense standpoint in your relationship. It puts you in a place where you are either fight or flight. Period. And so not being heard was one of both of our triggers. One. The next question is, how do I know what one of my triggers are? Like, how do I know what my triggers are? How do you know what your triggers are is, number one, hitting me is a trigger. Don't put your hands on me. I have been in very abusive relationships in the past, and thank God I don't have to deal with that in my marriage. Thank God. Secondly, a trigger could be emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, things like that, even spiritual abuse. Triggers can also be subtle things, as talking over me, which to me can be used as a manipulative tactic, because I have been verbally abused in my past. So when I feel like someone is over talking me and not paying attention to the things that I'm saying, I don't feel heard, and I feel like you're just trying to overtalk me to manipulate me. Those are some things that I'm currently working out in therapy. So basically, how you would figure out what is a trigger for you is going through your mental Rolodex and figure out what makes you uncomfortable in a relationship. Is it someone over talking you? Is it someone hitting you? Also, you get into non-negotiables when you're talking about triggers, but that's for a whole nother topic. And so once you understand what relationship and childhood trauma you have, you can better decipher what your triggers are. As I said, one of my triggers is someone not really listening to me, and that stems from verbal abuse, something that I endured a lot. However, marriage is not always 100-100. Sometimes it is 80-20. Sometimes it's 15, whatever, right? Whatever percentage you want to do it, sometimes marriage is that. And so you endure a lot of things. However, you have to work to develop a safe space within inside of your marriage. And so that is one thing that we had to identify, is what is our triggers. And so since we have both wrote down what our triggers were, as well as talked about a lot of our childhood trauma and our relationship trauma, we have gotten to the root of, I would say, 90% of our issues and the reason why any argument would start. And also, we had to do something called a genealogram. And basically, when you're talking to your psychiatrist or your therapist, they pretty much, you do a family tree. And in this family tree, you break down mom, dad, and each of their sides of the family. Is your mom, and did her mother and father, were they married? Did they get a divorce? Was there physical, mental abuse for your mom? Did you grow up in a two-family household? Did your mother and father get a divorce? Was your mom a single parent? Whatever that is. And you go down to your siblings. Is your siblings married? Are they in a mental, verbal, whatever type of abusive relationship? Is there alcohol abuse? Is there drug abuse? Is there physical abuse? Basically, you go through this entire tree and you pretty much put it together, and then you come to a understanding of who you are as a person. You understand even more why you have these triggers, right? So, I mean, when I tell you that therapy has been such a blessing to my marriage, and understanding what my wife's triggers are also helped me love her 110% times better. It helps me understand her, but also it takes her doing the work and me doing the work on my own personal standpoint to understand that things that happened to me were not my fault. For me to understand things that I stayed, relationships that I stayed in too long, and guilty thoughts, or, blaming yourself for some of your decisions, is all built up of a toxic mentality, and you have to break those things. So for us, finding out what our triggers were trickled into this big massive thing, and really help us understand personally where we needed work and how we can build ourselves up personally to be better for one another. So in the description, not the description, but in the comment box below, write down some of your triggers and how you found out about what your triggers were, just so you guys can have some conversation in the comments, and I'll be in the comments too. And how did you survive in your relationships knowing what your triggers were? How did you approach the conversation with your loved ones or your spouse or your significant other? Let me know in the description box below. I know that there is so many different directions I could have took this conversation. However, like I said before, this is just different topics that I'm bringing to you guys just to start the conversation. So if you have any questions, let me know. If no one told you today, guys, that they love you, know that I love you and God loves you. Bye.
See money all